Hi, everybody. Ron Wildman in again for Jack Ellis, former Macon mayor. And with us, we go back to what they're calling the Government Center now. That's the old City Hall. And we have BIB Commissioner Joe Allen with us.
Glad to be here with you, Ron.
BIB Commissioner, just what you were a few years ago over at the courthouse.
Yeah, I've been out since I first got elected. I've been out a total of 8 years. I got elected in '89, and I've been out 2 terms, set out 2 terms, which I think was good for me to look at what had already been taking place of the 4 years I was out in previous times, to try to keep moving on and looking new directions and new horizons to try to make Macon better, making BIB better.
Now, you one of the few people up there that can compare the two by being on it. Now, the old commission, how many members did they have?
We had 5.
And we had 15 Macon council members.
Yes.
And now we have what?
Now we have 9, and counting the mayor makes 10. And the bottom line is it's a good array of individuals that are there. I wanted to bring it down again to 5.
That's what I was going to ask you. I think I heard somewhere in the past that you think we still have too many people.
I do. I think there's a lot of personalities there, and I think you could still trim it down to 5. And you need to bring people on the board. And this is not against anyone that does not have the education or the intelligence or whatever to be able to work in government, because you can do some crazy things in government if you want to, if you get the number of votes to do it. And we've got to, in this next election that comes up, you've got to find people that will define what government's about. And it takes a while to do that. I had to go to school for a year to become a certified commissioner in Bibb County, and I was the first certified commissioner in Bibb County.
It used to be you didn't have to do any of that.
No, used to you didn't have to. You would just go in there and pull from your hip pocket and see where the direction you wanted to be. And like I said, we've got a good diverse amount of people there, but you could trim it down some more.
What would be the difference of the way business was done on the old commission and on this one?
Well,
along with the numbers.
I think the numbers plays a major role in that, with everything what we had in the old commission compared to the new board. And we didn't have recreation for a while. There's certain things we did not do. We basically settled around keeping things solid, where the other commission, the city of Macon, was broke all the time. And when the consolidation occurred, and I wanted consolidation, but since I've returned to the Board of Commissioners, the city of Macon, we have problems keeping money. And sometimes I get in trouble saying that people up at the board, they got holes in their pockets because they can't hold a dime.
It wasn't supposed to be that way.
No, it was not. And we're still having some issues. I was with someone today in a meeting, and we talked about that. And bottom line is, you have to spend some money sometimes when you know you're going to get a better return back. Something you and I talked about a little earlier about bringing in new businesses into town that's going to hire a lot of our people that work here. Even the kids that flip hamburgers, they're going to have a chance to get a good paying job. They'll be taught how to do certain things out at the airport. We just got so much potential that we have in the next 10 to 15 years that's coming in to the Macon area.
You know, there's nothing demeaning about frying hamburgers when you're a teenager. Mm-mm. Those are supposed to be entry-level jobs. I mean, and a lot of folks have just kind of made it a career, which is where the problem is for the hourly wage and everything issues. But getting back to our industry in here, I get around everywhere in one way or another. I've never seen so much construction and building going on. You know, we always hear about downtown, but it's everywhere.
It is. And, I took it yesterday, for instance, we had some issues where we put money up with bonds that we would help build parking decks. Well, when you build parking decks, the county built parking decks, put up a $20 million bond, and you build these parking decks where people can park and go to these new jobs. They're going to build 2 to 3 new hotels downtown. This says that we need that, and they're going to have different businesses locate around those. And it's going to also help the auditorium. It will help the Centerplex. It's going to, the new roads they're talking about building. It's going to be good for this community.
I look online, and I know when you first got into government, we didn't have the online Now everybody has a say about everything that goes on.
Yeah.
And right away, I saw a lot of criticism towards that parking deck that you all went online for.
Yes, and and if I begged them, please, come down to the Board of Commissioners, come down and sit with us and listen to us and understand the A's, the B's, the C's of everything in government. And that's all you have to do is come to a meeting, come to the early meeting. Well, I'm trying right now to get it where you can see the early meetings will be able to be seen on television, like we do with the Water Authority.
Committee meetings.
Committee meetings. The committee meetings need to be, well, the 6 o'clock meeting is already seen. But I want the committee meetings to be, because some people can't get there and they can understand why and how we decided to do what we're doing.
I covered the city over the years and some of the county, and that's where the real business is done, those committee meetings. The council's real, but it's just kind of the frosting on the cake. And if you want to really hear how they put things together, and there's where you have your difference of opinion too there, where you wouldn't have it as much at the council meeting.
Right. Down at the old board that we had, we would go into the back room and sit down and we'd thrash it out. I mean, it's something we didn't like. I mean, we just, between us, but we would always come out we'd be stuck at the hip together. We had to stand by what we did. And sometimes it didn't work that way, but majority of times it did. We come out and we all agreed on one thing. Now, people don't get to see that. They should be able to see that. They should be able to see what your elected officials are into and where they're planning to go with certain ideas or certain direction they're trying to take this community. And I want more people to get jobs out of Macon and Bibb County. We have an industrial authority that's working extremely hard now, that's bringing a lot of industry to us. But to bring industry to us, it takes money. We have to spend money to make money for this government, and it's going to take a while. Now, when I first came to the board, we brought down $40+ million from the consolidated government. Now, I've been having issues of trying to find out where all that money got spent at, but I understand it was spent, I know it wasn't spent wrongly. I just don't know where it was spent, the money that came from the old county. And we're having a time to catch back up. Consolidated governments, I've talked to Augusta, I talked to Columbus, and they said, you're going to have growing pains, you're going to have pains combining the two governments, and that's what we're having. Hopefully, the next 4 or 5 years, we'll be in pretty good shape that we can look back and say, it was tough, we did it, the people of Macon and Bibb County stuck together, and we was able to make this a thriving community that we should be. The 4th largest city in the state, we should be a thriving community like any other community is that's growing.
Well, the thing most of us homeowners, property owners have realized out of this consolidation is our taxes go up almost every year. And it's been a good bit too.
Yeah, you had 3 meals last year. The year before that, I had 3 meals. I don't think you had 3 meals before the 4 years before that. You could have, I don't remember. But I did not vote for the millage increase last year or year before last, due to the fact when I first got back on the board, I told them it was not my problem. It was not I'm here to try to straighten some stuff out, but I'm not going to vote for a millage increase that I wasn't the problem of, and I was not. And but now I've been there 2 years. What happens now is on me a little bit. Now I was able to put a committee together of retired firefighter employees of fire department, police department, sheriff department, general employees, citizens, also the head of the NAACP that sits on this board, and also some employees that are still working there, department heads, to work on our health insurance needs. Our health insurance was killing us. It's my understanding, I was told just last week, that so far this year, it looks like we're on the set of saving $4 million off our health insurance cost by putting that committee together. They worked, they trimmed it down, they did what they had to do. And we're looking at taking new employees, and instead of giving them a pension plan, they have a 401k or 457 that they can pay into, and that will save taxpayers money. Also, I would like to see the committee to go into other areas about trimming or streaming where employees needs to be, cross-train them. That's things we have to look at. Finally, the first year I went on there, I sat back to see what the new government was. I didn't really get involved with a lot. I did what I had to do. I was on the Public Safety Committee because I've been a firefighter for 33 years. I grew up, my father was a detective, my brother was chief officer at the sheriff's office. So I knew a lot about law enforcement and the fire department. So I took that and I started listening a lot. And it helped me out a great deal. Now I'm on the Finance Committee as well as the other 3 major committees. And you know, when I left the old government, I was the vice chairman of the board at the old government.
When are these tax increases going to stop?
You should not see a tax increase this year, not with everything that I've seen and I've looked at. I don't see it, I do not see it in there. I see that we're looking for positives from now on.
You ever see a rollback in the future?
Yes, but the rollback's going to come, and I got a little dissatisfied is the word I reckon, or had an upset stomach with our state legislators. We put together an OLOST. Now, I didn't think the OLOST would probably pass.
What's OLOST?
The OLOST was where this past bill we put out there so people could vote to be a penny sales tax. And it was supposed to be for rolling back the millage. But other individuals wanted to put other things in there, which would be for their own little private things they wanted to do, like different organizations or businesses or monuments or something like that. So I said, no, you change it, law enforcement and for rolling the debt back completely.
Specifically?
Well, specifically. When it got to Atlanta, to our legislators, I understand they changed it. And one set of members at the legislation sent the bill through, but they could not get enough votes from the other side. So it died. I believe that the people should have been able to vote on it. Now, if they had changed it in Atlanta and then sent it back, I would have voted no. But the way we sent it to them, I'd have voted yes.
I want to talk to some other aspects about your life, but first, the immediate future, what would you change on consolidation if you could do it right now yourself?
That's a hard question, and if I could change it myself, I would hopefully that we would not be in the bind that we're in right now financially, and that we would not have allowed all those employees to retire and give them, I mean, a package to get out of government or get away from your job and pay them actually more than you should have paid them. I mean, you pay somebody X number of dollars over and above what you should be paying them to retire, and they're making almost as much being retired as they would if they'd been working. I'd rather have them working. And that's one of the 2 things I would have changed.
How did you get started in public service?
How did I get started, or how did anybody?
Let's say before you were on the fire department for over 30 years. How did you? What age did you get on the fire department?
I was 21 when I joined the fire department. I'd been the youngest police officer in the city of Macon. I was a trainee police officer, one of the first trainee police officers at 18. We didn't carry a gun. Yes, we didn't carry a gun, and I stayed there. And I found out right off within a year I didn't want to be a trainee police officer. I didn't want to follow. I didn't want to follow my father's and brother's footsteps.
W.O. Allen.
Yeah,
I met him. He was a detective
yes.
with City of Macon, and he looked like a real stern person to me. And I kind of stayed back away, and he started calling me Ronnie Baby. And I tell you what, we warmed up, and W.O. was a wonderful man.
He was a good man. He was a top officer. He was I mean, he could.
Oh, he was serious.
He could pull a jury. That's the reason when he retired, they asked him to go ahead and retire from the police department as a city detective because Fred Hasty wanted him to come down and be his first chief investigator at the sheriff's office, and not at the district attorney's office. And when Dad got down there, one thing that I found out was, Dad would go in certain times. I said, where you going? He said, we got to go down and pull a jury. And then I found out that he was down there helping them pick out the jury. It's like this television show that's on now, called Bull, where he goes in and he tries to pick a jury. Well, they had Dad doing that down in the DA's office. That was one of his jobs down there.
Means you can see what people are about by looking at them.
But he didn't have electronics. I mean, he was doing just from common sense that he had and knowing people, because he knew a lot of people.
Well, he liked me, and that was good for me, but he liked me. Now, how did you get in the fire department?
I decided that was the kind of work I wanted to do. I worked at the Water Authority for a short period of time, and then I put in for the fire department. Working 10 days a month, I thought, man, that's great. That's all you have to do is 24-hour days. That would be really good. And I like getting involved with people. And so I went down, they hired me. This was long before the walk-off, a year before the walk-off in '72. And I was on the fire department for 33 years, and I enjoyed it. I love the fire department. Matter of fact, you was there, the morning was my last day when you came in.
Would it be correct to say that your last day was your worst day?
The last day was my worst day as a firefighter.
Tell why.
I lost 2 kids and a man in a house fire. And
do you guys take that personally when that happens? Or how?
And in this particular reason, I still think about it. A lot of the things that people don't understand as a firefighter or a police officer, even if you have to shoot somebody or somebody dies because of you, this, that, and the other. But in my case, I was working, they sent me around. I was a sergeant that goes around and be in charge of different companies. And I was working at the Pine Station. And we got down there and the fire was just blowing out of the window. And we went in and we was able to get the little boy, the little girl, and the man out. And you remember that. And I was very lucky that night. A power line had dropped, and it had dropped from the house to the thing, and I like to walk into it. And one of the firefighters screamed at me and hollered at me and stopped me right no closer to you and I, or I'd have hit it. And if I'd hit it, I wouldn't be here today, because it was a live wire. And but that particular case stays with me because it was my last one. I had the first call I ever went on as a firefighter. It was a death call. The last one I went was 3 deaths. So, and I've seen a lot of deaths between that period of time, and I've been fortunate enough to be credited with saving lives. But God's the one that saved the lives. I didn't. I was just a tool that He used to try to help keep that person alive.
We covered many of those
You
fires.
did.
We would go out to almost every one of them.
Yeah.
And another one that involved saving lives involved a vet, a dog.
Mm-hmm.
You tell us that story.
Well, we had, that's the one that made national news with Paul Harvey. And we had a call. I was at Riverside Drive Station, and we got a call down on Riverside Drive, Riverside at Pierce, and there was a camper trailer that belonged to the Lloyd McVeigh family of Oakwood, Illinois. I'll never forget it. And they had 2 poodles in the trailer, and it was burning like crazy. And I went in and I got them, brought them out. One of them I couldn't bring back. The other one I did mouth to mouth on, and got the poodle brought back. Because he had 2 little kids that were there wanting to save their puppies, and they were poodles. And so we gave the one little puppy that we brought back to the kids. And we had already cleaned up, and as Paul Harvey said on his show, said the little McVeigh children were sitting off to the side, and Fireman Joe went over to say goodbye after we had got our gear up and everything ready to go. And I reached down to pet the dog, and he bit me. So that's how Paul Harvey did it on his news commentary that went all over the United States.
Paul Harvey was something else.
He really was.
When he talks about you, he really talks about you.
He really talks about you. He really does. And I kept that tape for a long time. And then somehow or another, I lost it.
You started up how many years ago? Kids You'll Love.
Kids You'll Love was started in 1985-86.
That's a Christmas.
That's a Christmas program. And also we started Kids School Twos. We started a smoke detector program after the kids and the man got killed in the house fire. And we do with another program called Baskets of Joy that Kids You'll Love is involved with, that works all over the state, also all over Middle Georgia anyway.
What prompted Kids You'll Love?
A boy named Jody, and Jody, I owned a business when I was my previous wife I was with, who's passed away. We had a home inspection company and a freight inspection company. And my home inspection company, I got a call from the Home Builder Association that wanted us to come out and inspect this home. And so when Jody Cotton was the little boy's name, we went out there, and Jody was in a wheelchair, had muscular dystrophy. And he had a aunt that lived there with the grandmother. The aunt had 2 sets of twins and a single. So that would be 2, 4, 6, about 6 kids in there with the grandmother. The only thing the grandmother could do at that time was work in a feeding kitchen to feed people. That's how she had made money. the woman that had two sets of twins and a single, her husband had left her. Jody's parents, the mother had died and the father committed suicide. So Jody had a brother who died the previously year. He'd been in a wheelchair also, and he had been with the grandmother also too. But I asked him when we went to the inspection on the house, I said, look, what about Christmas? I mean, what do y'all do for Christmas around here? And he said, Mister, we don't have Christmas here. He said, we're lucky enough to have food. And Jane Rosette, who was involved with the Realtors Association, she's passed now, but Miss Rosette, she said, look, Joe, I do this. You handle the Christmas. I'm gonna buy a house. And out there, and it was off Richmond Street, off South Bibb County, South Macon. She bought a house and put the family in there before, this was in August. Before Christmas, they were in another home that Miss Rosette bought. She worked for S2E7 Realty Company, and she put them in the home. And we had them a good Christmas that year. That was a good Christmas for that young'un, and for the kids too. And I mean, the house was deplorable. I mean, it had wires sticking out. So that's the reason Jane bought a house and moved them. I mean, they rented this house from them, and we did the program, the Kids You Love program, started it up. And in starting the program up, this particular time, go back in time a little bit, when I met Jody, I went to every one of the TV stations. I went to where 13, 24, 41, and I got all the radio stations, got the Macon Telegraph and News involved with me. And I wanted to do it not to hurt any other program, but to help those that was left in the wings that couldn't get any help. And there was a lot of people that didn't fall on the same category that some people would fall on from poverty. And so we helped them that Christmas. And Bill Boyd from the Macon Telegraph, remember? Yes. He's the one named Kids You'll Love, the program. He named it. We're a nonprofit 501c3, and in doing so, the following January, Jody passed. So that left a void, that a program I started because of this kid, that it has lasted as long as it has. We've only had 2 paid staff people in the history of Kids You'll Love. That was only like a year one time and maybe a year and a half the next time. And it's all volunteer. And we've reached now 25 counties. We have reached up to 40 at one time, but when these other counties don't want to help them, then I back away from them, because I'm sorry, I'm not going to run myself to death. So
we're in the month of March, going into April. Mm-hmm. Is there any activity with Kids You Love right now? Well, it's Baskets of Joy is. We have a young lady that's lives up around Roberta, that does the Baskets of Joy program, that Kids You'll Love. It's part of our program, but she actually runs the Baskets of Joy program. What is that? It's where you have baskets and you put eggs in there and have Easter egg hunts for kids. You know, we used to do the largest Easter egg hunt in Middle Georgia here. Yes. But we had parents that they wanted to do Easter egg hunt and let the kids they was trying to pick up eggs for the kids, and we had people get hurt, and I couldn't handle the liability, because we didn't have any money coming in other than what people donated and to pay the bills that we had, and which we still do. We ask people to make donations to us so we can pay our bills, but we ask for the toys. So it's more than just getting toys. You got to have money to keep your program running. And that's what Baskets of Joy. Smoke detector program will start probably in June, July, probably. So we can get that part of the program getting up and get the smoke detectors back out. We tell people, try to change your batteries out of your smoke detectors and all. And then in August, we start back up with Kids You'll Love. How hard it is to get donations? It's getting pretty hard, because there are a lot of different programs that are asking for money that are not Christmas funding programs that are out there. And every program out there, I've not seen too many programs out there that didn't need the help. Well, you know, Christmas, it's easy to get involved when you're close to Christmas, but you have to back up several months to get people in that Christmas spirit of giving. You have to. And that would be the hard part to me. It is, and as well as Ron, you know, you've been involved with Kids You'll Love ever since it started. And I mean, you know, it's so hard at times. You know, I've wanted to give up several times. But
I think about it, and my wife, Diane, she says, you can't give up. You got to keep going. I mean, you're doing something, you're doing God's work to help his kids. And, you know, at Tatnall is one of our largest contributor of toys, Tatnall Square Academy. And those kids out there, I have talked to parents of children who the parents went to Tatnall that had given toys in years past to help kids that were less fortunate.
My daughter was out there when it started, and it means something to all those people who have gone through there. They build their annual Christmas program out there around the day you pick up toys there.
I'm going to tell you, the one program, schedule. One of the first years, the teacher who was on my board was Miss Stewart. She was at a school over off Fort Hill Street, down on the left. I cannot remember the name of the school. But these kids were actually, I mean, they were poor kids that went to the school. And I had what this young child gave to give to Kids You'll Love. He brought a little truck that was worn and torn. I mean, it almost brings tears to your eyes now. Think about it, that he gave the only thing he had that he could give to another child. I had that toy for a long time because it meant so much to me that he gave what he had, only thing he had to give. And that's what I went on to do Kids You'll Love. Every time I think about that, it gives me that extra push to keep going with Kids You'll Love.
How involved with you being with the fire department and starting Kids You'll Love? Fire department helped a lot, didn't they?
Fire department helped. All my fire departments help. All the fire departments are involved with Kids You'll Love.
Across Middle Georgia.
Across Middle Georgia, yes, across Middle Georgia. I mean, we've helped kids in Chicago before. We do Santa letters. We send Santa letters out. We have prisoners that write to Kids You'll Love Santa letters that somehow somebody finds out, well, you helped my family. You know, I look at it this way. The guy might have done wrong or the woman might have done wrong. They could be in jail. Their kids don't have nothing. The kids are not at fault. I'm going to help those kids if I can. And we helped the family. We contacted Chicago DFACS, and they said, these people need help. We sent the stuff up there to them.
Ex-prisoners have a tough time getting a job, but I understand the best thing for them these days, the economy is starting to soak up everybody, and you find that very gratifying.
Right, I do. I really do. And when people pull together, no matter what it is, you know, you can get mad about things, Ron, and get dissatisfied, get involved, and find a way to help them, help the program, for a different program, help people. That's what it's all about. We got to help one another. Instead of crucifying one another, we're supposed to help one another.
Just a few seconds, Joe. What's your immediate future look like?
I want to make this term and one more, and I don't look to make any more after that. I think it's time. I hope I can make another term. If I don't, that's fine. I've done the best I could do. I've given my life to where I believe my Lord and Savior wanted me to do with the programs I've done and with my life as a firefighter, as a trainee officer, and doing what I'm supposed to do and trying to be a good father to my children and to my grandchildren, because the bottom line is family is what it's about.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Ron Wildman, in for Jack Ellis right here on WMUB TV.
Thank you.